Let's think about how to go about this full section drawing. As you can see here, I've started laying out some center lines and some circles, and they're all on the same layer right now, but that's okay. I don't care about that. I can move the layers. So I've got the big circle here, and I've got so in the middle, I've got the small circles on each end, and I think what I want to do first is make the slopey line. So I will get a line command now, and I will turn off ortho. Now, in the O-snap settings, I have a whole bunch of O-snaps turned on because those are very useful, but AutoCAD has an order of preference for these, and the tangent O-snap is kind of at the bottom of the list. So you can't get tangent to show up unless you do one of two things. Either you could turn off all of these except for tangent. I think that's annoying. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to leave them on, and I'm going to do the other option, which I will show you now. I think you've seen this before, but I just want to do it again. So specify first point of line. Let me turn off that tracking. If I click Shift, so I'm holding down the Shift key, Shift, right mouse, this temporary O-snap menu comes up where I can pick tangent. That's the one I want. So there's the tangent point. And now I will come over to the other circle, and again, Shift, right mouse. There's the menu, and I'll pick tangent again. So now I have a line that's tangent to both circles. Now I will repeat that. Line, Shift, right mouse. I'll pick the tangent point, and Shift, right mouse. Pick the tangent point, and there we go. Now I could come over and do this on the right side too, but I'm going to do something else. I am going to, let me zoom in here so you can see what's happening. I'm going to trim out this big circle. So TR for trim. And I'm going to use, so it's saying select cutting edges. I'm going to use those two sloping lines as my cutting edges. Enter. And now I can click on the circle to trim it out. See how fast that was. Now what I'm going to do is use the mirror command. And over here on the right side, I'm going to erase that big circle because I would rather do this mirror command. So here's the mirror command, or MI for mirror, and I will select, I like the right crossing window, the sloping line, the circular line, and the other sloping line. Enter to accept. Specify first point of mirror line, I'll click up here. Second point of mirror line, I'll click down here. Do you want to erase source objects? No. So I hit enter to accept. And there's my thingy on the other side. Now I can, now I can trim out my big old arc here. Trim, that's looking a little better. And now I can, I can start to do stuff in the front view. So I will, let me zoom in just a little bit. I will get a line, and now, oh, stop it. Make sure that I'm perpendicular there. And I'm just going to copy that line a bunch of times. I think that's faster. So I'll get the copy command, enter. And when it says select objects, watch this. I'm going to type L for last. And it selects the last thing I drew. Enter. So I'll go there, there. Got a whole bunch of lines here. that I can drop down into my front view. Now, as you can see, my front view is going to involve a whole bunch of trimming. But what I want to do right now, maybe I won't do the whole outfit. I want to show you about chamfering. So what will I do? I will do trim. Maybe I'll just use that top line for the cutter. Enter. And I'll right crossing window to select those guys. Okay, and one more thing. I'll use this guy and this guy as the cutter. And then I'll trim those out. Okay. Oh, and I guess I need to do a little bit more work in here. We've got a groove in here. I could figure out the radius and diameter, but I already did that, and I figured out that it meant that that groove was 1/16 of an inch deep. So I'm going to do that now. Now I will just trim, and this time I will enter so that I can use any old line as a cutter. I'm going to have to come back and do more cleanup, obviously, but for now, this will be good. Okay, now what have we got? We've got a chamfer over here that is 0.06 in size. How do we know that? Because it says so right here. It's 0.06 in size. So I'm going to get the chamfer command. It's hidden under the fillet here. Chamfer. Be careful. It doesn't know yet what distance you want. So first you have to do D for distance, or click on that thing. And what is the distance? It is 0.06. Enter. The second chamfer distance is also 0.06, so I'll just hit enter. Now it says specify line, and now I'll click on these two, enter to bring up the command again, click on those two. Good. Now I'm going to put the small chamfer on the inside here, and that is a smaller size. It is a 0.03, so chamfer command again. D for distance, 0.03, enter, and enter again. Now watch what happens when I click the line. You might think, oh, this is going to be fast, but actually it's going to trim out the rest of the line except for one tail. So now I need to draw my line back in over here. Chamfer again. D for distance. Well, look, I still have my distance set, so I can just click my two lines. All right. And now I have to come back and put the edge back in because the chamfer command trimmed it out. And look here, there's another edge right here. So I think I'll stop doing this right now because I want to show you, what else do I want to show you? I want to show you about hatching. Here I've gotten most of my drawing done now. I made a copy and moved it over here and kept working. What you will notice before we put in the hatching is that the edges for the chamfers, which we put in the front view, show up in the top view. So see that? The edge of the chamfer here shows up as a smaller circle in the top view. And here is there's a hidden line for that groove. It shows up right there. Now let's look at hatching. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit closer. All right, now, oh, and by the way, notice that I moved my my center lines onto the center layer, so now they're looking good. Now let's go get the hatch layer and make it current. It's going to be a thin line. Hatch. Here is the hatch command up here in the draw commands. There it is. Click. And when you click the hatch ribbon comes up. Now let's see what we've got. Before we go over here and pick points, first let's make sure we have the right pattern. So what pattern do we have? ANSI 131 is selected, and that's the one we want. When we do mechanical drawings, we just leave it on ANSI 131. What about the scale? I checked earlier, and I'm scaling my viewport at a scale of 1:1, so a hatch scale of 1 will be fine. So now I'm going to click Pick Points. If I clicked Select, I would have to go click every blasted line, and I don't want to do that. I just want to pick points inside a boundary. See how that's a picture of a point inside a boundary? And watch what happens when I come down here and click inside. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to click again, and click again, and click again, and now enter. What I have done is I've clicked inside 4 areas, but when I click on the hatch, I find it's all one hatch pattern, which is good. That's what I want. Let's see, is there anything else we want to say? There was one thing I wanted to say just about using O-snaps. Let me come back over here. When you're laying things out and you want to go from the center of something, like let's say I want to go from the center of this round thing over to somewhere. I forget why I was doing that. What I want to point out to you is, let's say I'm going to draw a line from somewhere. Let's say from the center I'm going to draw a line downward for some reason. If I let it go ahead and snap to midpoint, which is the O-snap that you see there, that might or might not actually be the center of the circle. So that is kind of dangerous. I recommend that instead you go Shift, right mouse, and select the actual center O-snap if you want to do something at the center of a circle. And now see that O-snap pointing, lighting up? Now we're really at the center of the circle. All right, I think that's all I want to say for now. Other than that, in the... Oh, let me go look. No, I did want to say one more thing. Let's go look at the title block. So here's my title block. I'm using a B-size title block. When I open the viewport, I make sure, yes, I'm at a scale of 1:1, not some odd scale, but 1:1. Looks like that's going to fit. And then looking at what is in the title block, here is where I put the material description. It's a strong grade of aluminum, and T6 means it's heat treated. So 6061 heat treated. Here is the title of the part, and the assignment number, and the date, and I think that's all I need to do. All right, so there's my drawing. Now I will go back to model space and begin dimensioning my part.